longer than 2 weeks. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh Weekly. As always, I'm Robo, and what a 2 weeks it's been. Star Wars Celebration? Amazing. And not just because it's Star Wars, it's because it's a gathering of all these different people there for one singular purpose. Well, that would be Star Wars, I guess, so maybe that's a big part of it. But no, there's just a different vibe to a show like Celebration. Because, unlike Comic-Cons, which I love, don't get me wrong, but Comic-Cons are usually split between different properties and different genres and, you know, medias, video games, movies, cartoons, toys, comic books, you know, the original reason for Comic-Cons. With Celebration, it's almost sensory overload because everywhere you look, it's something you want to see. Not to even mention that I haven't got to talk face-to-face with fellow Star Wars fans in about 2.5 years, so just that alone, it didn't matter if I was surrounded by bread and butters, there were other people there for their bread and butters too. And I appreciate every single person that took time to stop by the Dorkside Toys booth, say hi, take a selfie, hang out for a minute, just ramble on about this crazy thing. But all that meant that I had no time for the weekly last week. I know I planned to do a hotel room, oh hey baby, here's what's happening in toys this week, but I was way too tired. I'm getting old, boys. After running and running and more running and standing, then more running and standing, running, I was wiped by the time I got back to the hotel. So we are catching up on 2 weeks of toy news here. I'm gonna miss stuff. That is inevitable. It's happening. So if I do, like I always say, we'll swing back around next week. Maybe we'll do a couple of extra live streams, something. Who knows? We'll talk about it at some point. Today's just going to be like skipping a rock across the pond. I'm going to just catch what I was able to catch on planes and hotel rooms and everything. Like NECA announcing their San Diego Comic-Con exclusives this week when they are casting a wide net. Well, they usually try to catch their bigger properties and everything, but it seems like, oh, little you. Outside the Fwoosh realm, there is the Dungeons & Dragons Lost Wave 4-pack. Now, these are 4-inch figures meant to accompany your vintage figures, I guess. Like I've always said, I don't remember a lot about that line. I think I had 1 or 2, but the rest, was it just comic book ads? I remember, because this dude in the big black cloak, I remember him from something. But these were apparently prototypes shown for the vintage line, but never released until now. So that's kind of a cool, you know, back and forth. Plus, it shows that the license is still strong with NECA. We haven't seen a lot after their announcement of the 7-inch War Duke and Grimsword. So hopefully this means there's more to come. For both lines, maybe? Depending on which scale you're a fan of. There's also the Gremlins 2 Ultimate Wedding Greta. This is another line I do not follow, but I feel like at some point they're gonna say, well, that's all of them, but I doubt it because I've heard Veeps talking as I'm looking at his display, and when I look at it, I think, God dang, that's a lot of Gremlins I don't even remember from the movies. But for someone like me who doesn't know this line, that, there's another one. The Thing 40th Anniversary poster figure is interesting because it's essentially just a headless set of black winter gear in human shape with an LED inside the hood and an add-on plastic light ray piece. Apparently it's the movie poster, so when you compare those side by side, ooh, the figure does emulate that. Kinda nice. Finally, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon Pre-Mutation Bebop, Rocksteady, Hamato Yoshi, and Baxter Stockman multi-pack. Yeah, I read that, shut up. Another one of those you didn't know you needed it until it was offered situations. Who am I kidding? I've seen these on wish lists because, like all 80s properties, once you get to a certain point, the wants are just going to get more obscure and obscure. And this works perfectly as an exclusive because it seems like, again, someone like me, who, when you get this obscure with this cartoon, I'm just window shopping. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, but I don't remember it. It's not super needed by everybody, but it's cool to have if you're wanting it, or wasn't interested until they showed it in plastic form. Now, these went up for sale today, on Friday. That's when I record the weekly. We've talked about this many a time before. And from what I saw, it wasn't the bloodbath that people are expecting. I've seen a lot of comments of, oh, that was well, fairly painless. But NECA didn't stop there. They also announced Splinter as Van Helsing for their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover Universal Monsters line. I almost dread when they announce something in this line because I have to put all those words, just smush them together. He's so cute in his little hat and jacket. And this makes total sense if Shredder turns out to be Dracula like everybody's speculating. But with the Turtles being monsters, does that mean Splinter has to hunt them down too? Is that overthinking what is essentially just a fun little line that exists as a love letter to both franchises? Yeah, it's still cool designs smashed together, just like all those words. Just keeping with TMNT, it looks like Playmates is attempting to get even more mileage out of old molds with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Street Fighter. At first glance, I'll admit it, I was intrigued. I mean, for what I'm guessing will be a reasonable price, Ryu and Chun-Li don't look too bad. And if I glance really fast at the Turtles, like I'm on a bus reading a comic book or the newspaper or whatever adults do, and the Turtles are standing off in a field kind of a block away, and what's that, out of the corner of my eye? I think, oh, new Turtles. But then I get a closer look, like I stop the bus and jump off real quick and run up to them. It's just a dirty wash on the head and torso, but the limbs are clean. Why? Are the heads new? I've lost track after all the reuses they've done with this body over the past 10 years. Saying all that, there's a morbid curiosity. You know how it is when something new pops up. Donatello is listed as coming with Ken, and you know, Donatello's best turtle. It's hard to pass up on him. And then Raphael comes with Guile, who I feel like may be some good custom fodder. So I'll judge it more when I see more. That's really all we can do. Hey, remember that Mortal Kombat dragon that Storm Collectibles showed at, was it San Diego Comic-Con about 225 years ago? Looks like that's gonna be a thing. But if big lizards are your thing, then Super 7 has solicited the Toho Ultimates Series 2 with Burning Godzilla and Mecha Godzilla. I've already admitted several times that I am not a kaiju aficionado, although I have watched all the more recent movies, in order even. So I knew what the story was. It was crazy. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that from the last movie. But you go back older than that, I don't know what's what. So Burning Godzilla just looks like the Series 1 Godzilla to me with some orange paint, and I like the eyes better. They're more piercing, they're more dynamic. And the sauna steam spices it up. Hot Godzilla. Hotzilla. Is that a thing? And did I just, some kind of porn or something? I don't know. Mecha Godzilla though, if I were to get any figure in this line, it would be this. Because it's Godzilla, it's metal. It's a metal Godzilla. It's a robot. That's right up my alley. Plus, look at that big jet rig. That's awesome. Seems the open jaw could have been integrated into the regular head as an articulated piece because of the design itself. It just seems like it would be a part of it. But I do appreciate the head that's looking all the way up, so it's seamless when he's flying, because a big flying Mecha Godzilla is just a visual that you can't get out of your head once you have it in there. Whoa! There is no reasonable explanation why Godzilla should be able to fly. That's not all in the world of Ultimates, though. There's also the Slayer Ultimates Show No Mercy Minotaur. This thing's got it all. It's got the pentagrams, it's got the devil horns, the fire, the brimstone. It's just a little piece of Slayer for your action figure shelf. Or it's a beast for Beef Boss to slay at the end of that meat maze. Whatever the hell a meat maze is. Again, I need more sleep. Woo! Either way though, like any toy, once it's yours, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. Hell? Get it? Godzilla and Mecha Godzilla are $85 a piece. The Minotaur is $55, and they're due out summer of 2023. I was gone for 2 weeks, and all McFarlane Toys showed was the DC Multiverse Crime Syndicate Superwoman. She's the second figure in the Build-A-Star wave, right behind Ultraman, and should go up for pre-order soon, because this is the only picture I have. This is the only picture they've shown as I'm recording this. So I'm sure this will be solicited before this goes up on YouTube, and it'll just be
action figure, bro.
It is time, once again, for the monthly Metacom reveals. That's right, like clockwork, we're able to order 2 new Mafex figures that we damn well know will not come out on time. Don't get me wrong, there are a few companies at this point that have that slipping release date that don't quite meet the schedule or are shooting way out into the future. But with Medicom, it's not even a joke anymore. It's a fact. You cannot trust their estimated release dates. And everyone knows this. It could say someday, and it wouldn't make a damn difference. Just put ETA future. Now you know you'll eventually get it because of the company's track record. They have released everything they have solicited. It's just usually late. So there's no worries there. That's why when I see new stuff, it's like, oh, okay, well, but it's one of those, pre-order it and forget about it completely, lest ye go mad. And it sounds like I'm ranting, but honestly, I've come to terms with the fact that at my age, there's a strong possibility that I may be dead before these even release. That's not me being morbid, that's just me accepting reality. But still, every month, like a rat in the cage, Medicom rings the bell and right up to the bar, like, what you got for me this month? Can I have more electronic IOUs, please? Please? Because as much as people want to shit on this line, when these figures hit, they hit hard. I dig all my Dark Knight trilogy stuff. I love most, and we'll get to that, most of my Marvel comic offerings, and the Hush line is killing it. Now, they stumble every now and then, like Psylocke. She wasn't the greatest figure ever. And there are QC issues here and there that harken back to the early days of Mafex when they were really terrible with the QC. But again, it's not always like that. When they're good, they're good. They're really good. I love this line, but it can be a roller coaster. I guess all that's to say that this month's offerings is The Boys Black Noir and Marvel's Avengers Endgame Rescue. I'll probably end up putting the pictures throughout this whole whatever the hell I was talking about thing. And if you like what you see, the links are in the description. About $75. ETA future. Moving over to another company that is notoriously loose with their schedule, Mezco has solicited their 1/12 Collective Green Goblin that they've been teasing for a bit. Like I said with the recent Spider-Man, this is so classic it hurts. Oh my god. This is how the Mezco style was meant to be. Just regular person in semi-loose fitting clothing. That classic look that called back to a bygone era. The simplicity of it is part of the draw. And did you ever think you'd get Osborn with ghost and frog bombs? It's crazy. For some reason, that loose goblin mask scares the bejeezy out of me. I don't know why. It looks like when he's wearing it, it's just loose. Like, oh no, there's no head in there, which is the whole definition of a mask, I guess. Almost as scary as seeing Osborn's actual hairdo in 3D form. I don't think that was meant to be. You have brought plague and famine down upon the earth, Mezco. But again, everything just works so well together here, and all the options make it even more appealing. Every goblin ever should have sparkle blasts and thrown pumpkin effects, not to even mention the hover blast stands for the glider. I'm really hoping it can be posed like this though, because that is my perfect goblin, I think. That's my mask option. Him down, you know, semi-agile on the glider. I don't know what I'm doing here, but it's making my legs hurt. $112 due out early 2023. The Hasbro Marvel team never sleeps. They're always showing Legends. They'll make up holidays just to show Legends. And week before last, it was the X-Men 90s animated series Morph. Seems kind of like a no-brainer. It's Morph. And I was still seeing comments before it was announced that, well, if they're not making a Morph, then I'm not buying this line. So this feels kind of like a, hey, here you go, shut the hell up. I do have to agree that the regular head is kind of generic. It's not very morphy. But the Dark Morph, Evil Morph, I don't know, I never watched the cartoon, that's what I would use if I were to get this figure. That was last week. This week, they added to the Disney Plus What If Infinity Ultron wave with Ms. Marvel. Her show is right around the corner. In fact, I think it's next week, right? So what better time than now to debut this figure. I love costumes that are almost a direct translation from the comics, just with the usual MCU seam lines or spiffiness, you know? Doesn't quite match Kamala's proportions from the show, and I wish there were some energy stretchy effects, but I'm gonna guess, once again, they had to go by early concept art or pre-production stuff in order to get this figure out. She's available at all the usual places, all the standard places that have already pre-ordered the Disney Plus wave, while Morph is a Pulse exclusive. Where do I even start with the Star Wars Black Series reveals over the past week or two? We had a sneaking suspicion that they were holding back for Celebration, and ooh, were they? We're gonna start with some things that we already knew about that we're finally seeing in plastic form, like the next Archive wave. That usually means some photoreal upgrades, but looking at Chewbacca in several pictures, either I took or promotional, it still looks like some black dots floating in a white field. So Plus the open mouth, which is not my favorite, and they're using that older body with the double cuts in it, which is not as nice as the newer single cut Chewbacca body, but that also has the Solo double bandolier thing, so I understand why they use the older body. For Tarkin, the original figure was already blessed with the almighty photoreal, but this one looks a bit more rosy? More lifelike? Was Tarkin rosy? I don't know. I think with Chewbacca and Tarkin, it's more of a case of getting them back out on the market. I don't keep up with secondary, so I don't know. Go ahead and comment, oh, well, you can get them on eBay cheaper than blah, 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 whatever. This is just getting them back out there. For The Force Awakens Han Solo, though, a curse upon that first release, because, that face paint was bad. This needed an upgrade, definitely. It doesn't fix his diaper look, but it's much more lifelike in the face. Same for Leia in Boushh disguise. She needed that upgrade, and her face here looks much better. But I think Hasbro went an extra mile by shortening it down somewhere, which is needed because this figure was always taller than the other Leias. Now let me start by saying, when you're at Star Wars Celebration, you're usually the last person to find out any kind of figure news. You're right there, but the internet knows before you. So I don't remember them talking about it, and I've missed most of the chatter since. Some people have said that they've re-engineered the torso to make it shorter, but I'm looking at the pictures and I'm thinking the legs have been modified somehow. Like they've taken some out of right above the knee somewhere. But I may be wrong. I don't know. For another GameStop exclusive Gaming Greats figure, there is the Jedi Survivor Riot Scout Trooper. People were like, what's Jedi Survivor? Oh, it's the second part to Jedi Fallen Order. Oh, it's another Scout Trooper, just like we got with the first game, just with some different gear. Again, that's what exclusive should be. Just little tweaks that you may want, you may not want, whatever. For the Celebration exclusive, there is Paz Vizsla with a Jon Favreau head, which is cool because I was planning on doing this anyway with an extra heavy Mando and a Happy Hogan. And it threw me off at first that you had to get a QR code to scan and order from the show. There wasn't any actual figure there, but I learned to like it because I'm okay with getting it at the show, receiving it later. That way I don't have to ditch any clothes at the hotel room in order to get toys into my carry-on to get on the plane and go home. Plus the colors are a bit richer here. The yellow's a bit brighter than the one we have. It's something. It pops a little bit more. Disney's getting another shop exclusive with the McQuarrie concept art Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. Sure, it's a Darth Vader with a new head, Obi-Wan with a new head, but I like it, you know? It's just something different. Again, it's exclusive. It's there if you want it. Somebody at the show suggested that that could probably be a Rebels Darth Vader too, with a new paint job, and I'm thinking, plus, this is a nice tie-in for Disney to have to the show with, you know, big Darth Vader and Obi-Wan presence. For mainline releases, there was Aayla Secura, who I think was a pipeline reveal, but I can never remember those, as we always talk about. But hey, seeing it in plastic form, it's in here now, and now I want it. Now I need it. My only worry is double knees. Are these Aurra Sing legs? Does that mean Y hip? I don't know. It may have been re-engineered because the torso, the lower part, looks like it's been resculpted. It looks like a new piece, so maybe they put a T-crotch in there. Clone Wars Darth Maul was another pipeline, but again, that doesn't register in my brain. In fact, the day before, there were several of us looking at the vintage collection Clone Wars Darth Maul that looks just like this, going, man, I wish that was in 6-inch. And then the next day they reveal this, and I thought I had magical powers. Or maybe us as a group had magical powers, something. But it all just boils down to blissful toy ignorance on my part. To finish up with the older media, there is Magistrate Greef Karga, and I kind of wish, well, okay, I like the Greef Karga we got, but I like this design better. He's older, he's wiser, he's more distinguished, he's more symmetrical, because I like a little asymmetry in my designs, but not when it comes to the coats or the robes, when it's just hanging over one side. Is it trying to make DLT? Keep the hot side hot, the cold side cold? And then finally, we're going to get into the Obi-Wan Kenobi show figures. And of course, that means spoilers. If you haven't caught up on the episode yet, go ahead and skip to the G.I. Joe news or enjoy the rest of your day. Whatever you want to do. For the Obi-Wan that was shown before the show debuted, the package shots there had an empty spot. And people... well, they were speculating about all kinds of things, but it's going to include Lola, the droid from the show, and it'll have a clear stand so he could hold it in his hand. After that, I can't remember the exact order that things were shown, but I'm going to go with the Grand Inquisitor next. Not quite the Grand Inquisitor we expect when we hear Grand Inquisitor, but it's the live-action Grand Inquisitor, and the figure captures that. It's hard not to go into spoilers, isn't it? It's like, oh, well, okay, he wasn't this dynamic in the show, so far, at least, hopefully, so far. Is there going to be more? I don't know. He's joined by the fifth brother, the fourth sister, and third sister, Oreva. Why does she get a name? Is that going to be another plot point that's coming up? Again, spoilers, holy moly. It's hard to talk about the toys without talking about the actual show. All in all, though, I was in for Inquisitors anyway because of Rebels, because of the comics. They just make, you know, you just fill the shelf. And there's your counter force to the Jedi, to the good guys. Just a bunch of double red-bladed lightsaber using characters for the shelf. There you go. Another Darth Vader seems to have put some bees in bonnets, but it's Darth Vader. Why would Hasbro not put out another Darth Vader? I can understand that, oh yeah, I should have made it removable helmet, even though that didn't go over so well with the first figure, that sad-looking walrus thing. I understand this is reuse. At this point, I can't remember which figure it reuses, but the 40th anniversary stuff and the newer Darth Vaders they've made have been fantastic figures. So, again, like Tarkin, like Chewbacca, putting out another main character on the market again is not a bad thing. And what was the other reason? Oh, it's Darth Vader! Finally, exclusive to Target, there's an Obi-Wan in a blue shirt. It's the same figure as the other Obi-Wan, just in a blue shirt. Okay, it has different accessories and a different cloak, but again, like I've said several times during this weekly, exclusive, it's not needed. If you don't want Obi-Wan in a different shirt, then go with the mainline Obi-Wan, because that's how he looks in most of the series we've seen so far. All the links are in the description. One last thing, the Hasbro G.I. Joe team had a 3 3/4 inch unboxing live stream over on Instagram this week, but there was just the tiniest of classified morsels. They did confirm that they are currently working on both Shipwreck and Rock and Roll for 2023. I know, nothing earth-shattering. I mean, they're characters that we expect in every Joe line. We expected them to be in classified, but confirmation is always a good thing. Plus, it gets the gears a-going on what they're gonna look like, because, oh, is he gonna have the... Yeah, that'd be cool. Or they could swerve and go over here, add some of that. That'd be neat. Maybe full on? I mean, yeah, you never know. Or several. They also announced that there would be a full-on fan-first live stream next week, so there's going to be something more concrete to ramble about then. Oh, we get to do a rundown? And that's all for this... bullshit. You know better. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I know I'm already missing stuff. In fact, was there something about scanning your own face, sending it to Hasbro, and them sticking it on a body? Was that official? I don't know. That was during Celebration. I think I saw some blurbs, but I'll find out more about that, see what happens next week, or... I'm so lost. If you're wanting to see any of these pictures up close without me going 90 to nothing, because I may be on cold medicine. Who knows? And maybe some caffeine. I'll be posting all of that, plus links to pre-orders, more information on the Foosh front page Saturday at noon. Oh, and something I also wanted to say about the Star Wars pretty promotional pictures. That new photographer they got, I'm liking it more and more. There's a definite difference. Used to, those pictures would be very... several shots, maybe different angles, same pose. These new shots are much more deliberate, much more dynamic, showing you what the figure can do. It gets my gears a-going when I see pictures like that. Presentation goes a long way, and yeah, pictures show us the sculpt and how good it looks, but there's also action in action figures, showing us how it moves and everything. Oh, that's how you capture the hearts and minds of the customer. I especially love this one, even though I didn't really see him do that, but I know the figure can, and in my own little head canon, it will be able to do it. I don't know, I just thought I'd point that out. It's something that caught my eye whenever I was going through the pictures. But if you enjoyed this Fwoosh Weekly, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. I was also caught up in the whole Delta Airlines flight cancellation thing. It got pushed back, Okay, it could have been way worse than it was, but 5 hours and then 3 hours to Minneapolis when I was supposed to do a straight flight to Kansas City. Minneapolis, thankfully, by the time I got to the right gate, it was just like a 10-minute wait. So that could have been way worse too. And then flew into Kansas City. So instead of arriving at midnight, I arrived at 9:30 a.m. But in the midst of that situation, it's like, oh my God, I just want to get home. Come on, what are you doing to me, Delta?